That was a short blast of Animal Nitrate, the hit single by indie rock band Suede from their 1993 eponymous debut album, which won the Mercury Prize. Often seen as a centrifugal force in Britpop, their frontman Brett Anderson was keen to keep some distance, his lyrics more concerned with culture and the music not averse to an orchestral sweep. From the get-go, Anderson exuded a kind of louche glamour, which was accompanied eventually by drug addiction, and later, in 2003, the band broke up. But it's now well over a decade into Suede's reunion, and their 10th album, titled Antidepressants, has just been released. I asked Brett Anderson what he was driving at with the title.
This is the house that you saved up for, and these are the windows, and these are the walls. I'm on antidepressants, I just lie awake, I'm singing a song while I'm happy.
First of all, on a very sort of simple level, it's a cheeky reference to the 11 songs on the album, I suppose. It's sort of the 11 songs are supposed to be, the antidepressants, a way to sort of like get through the day almost. I do kind of like think of music as being a massive weapon in the fight for life. Like I wake up in the morning, I put a record on, and music kind of accompanies me all the way through the day. And you kind of make music in order to sort of like provide the sort of armour for life you needed when I was a young man, sort of thing. And hopefully I'm making the same sort of music and passing on that baton.
I assume you're not listening to your own records first thing in the morning. So when you get up in the morning, what do you listen to? What would you listen to first thing in the morning?
Well, certainly not antidepressants. I'd listen to something like Nick Drake or Joni Mitchell, something sort of gentle, something easing into the day. I recently fell back in love with my record collection because I bought some little funny dancette record players, and I have them in a couple of rooms in the house. And it's really interesting what music sounds good on these very lo-fi mono record players. And it's always sort of things without too much bass and like very quiet things like Leonard Cohen and stuff like that. But then I do try and listen to new stuff as well. So I try not to live too much in the past with music. I think it's very important to push forward.
I mean, that whole idea that music is an antidepressant. So describe the atmosphere of the album.
I think it's quite paranoid. It's supposed to be social comment. It sounds too grand, and it's not. I don't think that the job of a songwriter is the same as, for example, the job of a journalist. It's the job of a songwriter is to sort of respond to moods of society and reflect it in kind of an emotional way. But there's lots of 21st century angst that sort of bled through into the record. It feels like a response to what I see as quite a kind of broken modern world. I think that lots of people are struggling, and I'm trying to represent some of that with the record.
But the lyrics seem age-appropriate, like the age in which we live and your own age and preoccupations.
Definitely, yeah, because I think you have to write about yourself. So I've always tried to do that. I've never kind of like shied away from that. I think it's really important to not turn into self-parody. I've been sort of like a songwriter for sort of 35 years now. And it'd be crazy if I was still writing songs about young man things, you know. Young men can write about young man things, you know. The rock lexicon of the young man is things like, oh, my girlfriend's just left me, I'm feeling really sad, or there's a sort of nice-looking girl on the tube, or something like that. But if I was still trying to write in that rock speak as a 58-year-old man, which I am now, it'd be ridiculous. So I'm trying to write about different things, and I find as a writer you've got to find passion. Music is all about passion, and I find passion in different things these days. So I find passion in my family. I write about my son, I write about marriage, these sorts of things. And I think they're quite difficult to write about because they're not part of the kind of like normal world of rock music.
And you've said that having a child is an act of optimism, and your son is now 13.
He is.
Tell me about the track Sweet Kid.
Yeah, that's a song about my son. I'd written another song about him on the album called The Blue Hour, which is a song called Life is Golden. I wrote that about him when he was about sort of 4 or something like that. And it's a very sort of simple, optimistic song. Sweet Kid is more complicated, which reflects the point of his life that he's in now. And a lot of the message of Sweet Kid is a sense that you have as a parent that you're not always going to be around for your child. and that you're preparing your child for a world without you. And there's something really sad about that, but there's something natural about that as well. But again, not kind of like do it in a sentimental, chocolate boxy sort of way. It's very easy to write about family in a sort of slightly sickly, saccharine way, and I'm trying to avoid that.
Did you run the lyrics past him?
No, I didn't actually. I play him lots of demos because I think children have that brilliant. They don't really have a filter. They just respond very naturally to music. If he doesn't like it, he just doesn't really say anything. He just starts talking about a cricket match or something like that. But if he likes it, it's, oh, Dad, I really like that one. That's a great. Play that one again.
You talk about social comment, but it's not really your role to talk about what's going on. But actually, when I think about this, it's possibly your most political album yet. If you look at the Dancing with the Europeans track,
Yeah.
it is like an anthem. It is.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, it's supposed to be a song about seeking connection in a disconnected world. I find that as we become more connected through social media and all these sorts of things, we become kind of less connected and more isolated. And I think that you find moments of connection in the 21st century, and when you find them, they're so precious. And live music is one of those very, very precious things that I've cherished it more and more as I get older, strangely enough.
And you talk about the fact if people are feeling lonely, they should go to a gig because you kind of find your tribe in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all looking for our tribes, aren't we? We're all sort of like looking for people that we can connect with. I think there's nothing quite like sort of like singing along the same words with thousands and thousands of people. I think it's an amazing, amazing thing.
Sadly titled track, in a way, is Broken Music for Broken People.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about the lyrics in that track.
Yeah, it was a slogan that I just sort of stumbled upon. I probably stole it. I steal most of my
Well, you're
lyrics.
owning up to it now, anyway.
Yeah, you know. It seemed to sum up something about 21st century life. We're all broken people. We're sort of trying to get through and trying to make the best of things that we can, sort of thing. A sort of like an us against the world sort of song, I suppose.
You talk about there's nothing quite like the joy of being with thousands of people enjoying the same music. Now, I mean, you were as credited with being the kind of brains behind Britpop, though you sort of stood to one side. What do you make of the Oasis explosion? I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a phenomenon.
I've absolute respect for other bands, no problem with what they do. And obviously it's chimed with something in society. Again, there's that sort of like need to be part of something bigger than yourself. Personally, I don't really respond to nostalgia too well. My emphasis is always on what we're going to do next rather than what we did 35 years ago. That's always been the driving impulse behind Suede. And I kind of love that about Suede. It's sort of like it's what makes us still relevant. If we were still playing songs from 30 years ago only, exclusively, I couldn't look myself in the mirror. But I'll do me, you do you. Do you know what I mean? We have to do it our own way, and that's my own kind of personal philosophy about how I make Suede work.
Perhaps it's that people are feeling this is a very uncertain time in their lives, and more broadly across the world. And so
Yeah.
what they're trying to do is hold on to something, a moment of certainty.
Yeah, I understand that. And I think that they're right, that we're all looking for driftwood to cling on to.
So
We're all
you're
floating
not going to
around
be
in the
you're
sea.
not going to be part of the Oasis driftwood in whatever stadium it is.
I'm not going to be personally, but I completely respect anyone that feels the need to be part of that. And I think in lots of ways it's fantastic, but it's just not for me, you know?
It's interesting you talk about this idea, this relentless drive to move forward. You've been back together as an entity in Suede for 5 of your 10 albums. I mean, there were 50 songs apparently that you could have put in this album.
Yeah.
So have you got a ready-made next album?
No, we haven't actually. We write a lot. There's a lot of quite a high rejection rate with our songs. We're throwing songs away. So, yeah, it's always kind of hard work writing a Suede album. But I think as you get older, you just become more objective about it. When you're younger, you just sort of write and you go through this phase where... So it's interesting, the phases of writing. So when you first start as a band, you can't really write, and every song you write is rubbish. And then suddenly you get the key to the door and you walk through the door and you suddenly know how to write a song. Then you go through what's called your imperial phase. And the imperial phase is this golden age where literally everything you write is gold dust. And you go through another phase later on where you think everything you write is gold dust, but it's actually not. And that's when the band starts falling apart, sort of thing. And then later on you achieve the kind of objectivity about it and you're able to judge it much more accurately. And I think we're at that stage now.
Brett Anderson there. And Suede's new album, Antidepressants, is out now.